Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we bring out our awful handwriting so we can explain a little bit more on how the cloud saving works. And this is going to be done in two parts. So we're first going to be talking about it, how the process works. And this is something you might want to go through simply because if you have different implementation than me, then you're going to need to understand how exactly this cloud saving works. This is on Google Play services. And if you just care about having the subway skater, you can move on to the implementation right away. That's the second part of the video. But let's start by talking about it a little bit. Alright, so the very first step is to get everything initialized. And this is something we already do. You do it initiate on the Play platform. You're going to have to add one call in this one, and it's going to be to enable the save files. You're also going to have to do that on the website as well. But initialize, we already do that. That's very fine. Let's talk about the Google Save, the Google Cloud Save only. What you'll want to do first is to open the save file. Whether you're loading or you're saving, whether you're loading or writing to the save file, you're going to have to open it first. And that is something that begins with a call. And we're just going to write keywords here. So open the save file. Now you have to choose in which direction you go. Are you going for save? So we're going to write down save here. Or are you going for a load? In both cases, like I said, you have to actually open the save file first. Let's do load. Sorry about the writing. Somebody told me it is chicken scratch, but hey, I do my best. Let's assume we're going with the saving route first. In the saving route, you can choose to write to 4 different elements of your save file. So every single person is going to have at least one. You can have multiple save file under their account. And in one save file, you can write to 4 different things. So you have to choose in these 4 things which you want to write to. So I'll just make a little tree like that. And they're all simple stuff. The first one is the meta. So this is something you always want to change because this is, the content of your file. This is the content of your whole save game. So if in your save game, you have a class that acts as a save state, and in there you hold how long has the player been playing, or how many coins has he collected, what is his level, how far is he in the game. You can put all of that in the meta. And on top of that, you can also add a description to your save file. So description, this is just some text, just a normal string. And then we have the playtime. This is useful because sometimes you might have conflicts. Say you're playing offline and you want to push your progress on your Google Play account, but you're also playing on a different device and that one has more playtime. You can use that here to decide whether or not you want to overwrite the previous save file. So this is going to help you in some conflict situation. This can help you in conflict situation. You have the full control on what you want to do. And finally, the last one is kind of interesting. It is a PNG, and in the code they call it PNG cover image. I haven't really seen that cover image yet. I don't know where it would be displayed, but it's cool that you can put a image in there and maybe display it in your game. Just like those games do it, like Skyrim. When you save, you have like a screen cap of where you were in that game at that time, and when you view your save games, you can actually choose based on the image. So that's fairly cool. You can decide to write to that. And once you actually put your whole package together, once you put your whole save file together, it all comes back into a single funnel that is committing this to the actual file. I have really awful writing. Right, so we want to commit. Just like you would push that on code, on GitHub, or anywhere. After calling the commit, you're going to have a callback that is going to tell you whether you're successful or not. So I'll just call that success. I think that's 2C. Okay. No butter. That's a callback, so you'll know whether you're successful or not. And that's how the saving process goes. So you start by opening the file. Once you're done opening the file, then you choose if you want to save. You put the proper data in meta. You might add a description. In our case, we're going to be putting meta and also description. Meta is going to be the information about the game, and description is going to be just a timestamp. So we're going to be using a datetime.now to know exactly when we save this. I'm not going to be using playtime, I'm not going to be using the PNG cover photo, it's not part of my scope for my game. So I'll be using these two, and then I'll commit my update. I'll make sure to commit no matter what happens, because we don't have any offline game, we don't have any offline saving. Now if we did have offline saving, we could say commit and resolve all conflict using the total playtime. So total playtime could be the deciding factor whether you want to write the file or not. Anyway, out of this, let me just try to erase my awful writing. Amazing. We're gonna head over to the loading part. The loading part is a little bit, a little bit easier. Once you have loaded the file, all you have to do is to decrypt it, because what you're gonna receive is a byte array. So with your byte array, you're going to say get bytes. Well, it's gonna be a read, so you're going to read the file first. And once you have the data after reading, then you're going to do a get byte on that data. Now, depending on whether you want to do in your game, in my game, since we have like simple values, we might create our own string, like with data in it, something like the high score and then the amount of coin. We could do it this way, so high score would be, say, 100, that's my high score, and then I'd split it with a pipe sign, simple pipe sign in a string, and that would be my amount of coins, say 84. That would be my string, my save string. In case you're coming from a different angle with more complex text, you might want to serialize your class and then put that whole serialization. And when you serialize your class, you put everything into a single string. So once you have that string, you can write it directly in the meta, and when you fetch it back, so when you do a read, you're going to have your string, your very long string, your serialized string up here being fed into the get byte, and then you can deserialize it. So that's about it. That's a process. It looks very awful like that, but as you can tell, saving is a little bit more complicated. When you're loading, you're just loading the save file after you open it, and then you read it, you do the get byte. Why does it seem so complicated? It's simply because there's a lot of callback involved, and you'll see those callbacks in a moment once we actually tackle it. So let's head to Unity. Where's my Unity? I have so much stuff open right now. There we go. Alright, so back in Unity, we are going to first declare that that's the second part of the video, so we can get started writing down the code. I am going to open up my game manager, because that's where I put pretty much all the code for this Google Play Services and the whole game for that matter. And the first thing I'll do in here is to initialize. Now, you're going to need these called at the beginning here, the using statement. So you'll have Google Play Game, basic API, saved game, and then what I'll do is when I start my Google Play Services, I create a basic API configuration, and then what I do over here is that I create a new instance of that type. I'll just put it on the other line so we can see. And this has a builder. So a builder is kind of a weird way. I'm not really used to doing builder, but that's a design pattern that can help you create that class and then give it some properties. So we do builder and we enable the save games. Let's see what else is in there. I'm just curious a little bit. You could enable hide pop-ups, enable a couple things, but this is part of the configs. And once it's completed, you're going to make sure to initialize the instance of the Google Play platform with the config you created. So those are the two lines we've added recently. Only these two. The rest, we already had them. Now let's head down to the Google Play Service section. Those are the connection. We've did that in the past. We are going to go down here and start writing for the saving. So cloud saving. So just like mentioned over here, we're going to start with a single function called open, and then we'll move on to save or load. Now that function is going to be choosing whether we're going to save or load. So let's head into Visual Studio and let's create that function. So public void open save. I'll make sure to send in a boolean called saving. So this boolean is going to choose whether we're going into the save or the load section. Right. So I'm also going to be writing a lot of debug.log just so we can have a look at it in the ADM, the Android debug monitor. This way we can have a little bit of track, like which callback is being called when, and if we do get stuck, we'll have a little bit more info where it gets stuck. Alright, first thing we need to do is check, are we online or not? So if social, local user, authenticated, if we are authenticated, then go ahead and try to save. So I'll actually keep this value with you here. So create a private boolean is saving. I'll put that on false. Then I'll say is saving is equal to the parameter. So is saving is equal to saving. And then here is the call that is going to open up the save. It is a big one, bear with me. We're going to start with a double set of parentheses because we're going to have some casting to do. We do play games platform. That's our type. Now the thing we're going to cast as a play games platform is the social.active. Once we have all of that, we can say with our play games platform, we can say saved game open with automatic conflict resolution. In our case, we're going to open up with automatic conflict resolution. We don't want to do that by AND. And finally, the parameters. Now these parameters are the file name. First up with the file name. We only have only one save per player. We're not doing like multiple saves. Say you're gonna have 3 different save state in your game. We're only doing one, so we'll call it running Pingu. That's the name of the game. Up next we have the data source. So Google Play Games basic API data source. Read cache or network. So you get to choose whether you want to read cache or network. In my case, I'll read both. So let's put that on another line so we can see what's going on. Open with automatic conflict resolution. We open running Pingu. This is something I'll put another line as well. Running Pingu, and then we get to choose the data source first, and then how to resolve conflict. In terms of resolving conflict, I'll use conflict resolution strategy, and you get to choose use original, use unmerge. So you get a use mine or use theirs, but I'll use the longest playtime instead in my case. And then we'll do save game open. Once the save game is open, it is going to call this very callback right here. If you notice, we don't have that callback just yet, so let's actually double click on it, select everything, click on Control and dot to have it generated for us, and we're going to see this pop up at the bottom. So save game open takes in a save game request status and a metadata. The status, I'll just rename it to status, and the metadata to meta. Okay, so we managed to open the game. Now inside of here in the save game open, we're going to know whether we're saving or loading because we say it here, like we choose here, and if we do enter that piece of code, that scope, then this is going to be called whether it is successful or not. So let's start with that call actually. If status is equal to save game request status success, so if we do have a success, let's go ahead and check whether we're saving or loading. So if is saving, if it's true, then we are writing, let's open a bracket, else we are loading or reading. I'll also put a debug.log here, just with the name of the function. There we go. Again, this is just to keep track of what's going on in the monitor. Okay, so let's head back into the Photoshop real quick. We are at the saving part right here. We're in the saving scope. We have to choose whether we're saving the meta, description, playtime, or PNG cover image. The way we're going to go about doing this is by typing in the following. So again, we're going to be casting the social active to a play games platform. So play games platform with double bracket. This is social.active, and then we're going to say saved game. This is where our save game is. Commit update, and this is where the beauty happens. So first up, what is the first parameter? First parameter is our metadata. So we're going to type, since we don't have it, I'll just say something like meta. We'll come back to it in a moment. Then we have the update structure, which we don't have, so we're going to put that here. What else do we need next? We need the updated binary data. So that is our data. Again, we don't have that just yet. And finally, the callback. So once we're done with all of that, we have to go somewhere. So we're going to say save updated, or just save update. Right. This looks good, right? This is what we have to do, but these are not filled in yet. I'm actually going to start declaring them at the top because we'll need them. Just down here. We're going to start with a byte array. That's our data. So this is the information about your game. Right now, there's nothing done for me, and we're going to be doing that once we're done with the whole Google Play services. We'll just save something like this. So system text ASCII encoding ASCII get bytes and random string random save, right? This is where you would put your real data. So if you have a class that you need to serialize, a whole save state that you want to serialize, you put it in here. If you have your custom string, which we will have in a moment, a little bit later during the video, that's where I'll be putting it. But right now, we don't have any data to save. We just want to implement the Google Cloud Saving. This is what we do. So we put our data inside of a byte array. We have the byte array. Next up, we want to be using something else. We want to be using the update. So we have our data. We can go down here, remove this, and I just realized that the meta, we also have the meta. It's up here. We receive it in parameter. All we need at this point is the update structure. To have the update structure, we have to create a save game metadata update. So this we call the builder, create our builder, and then we do a new on it. So save game metadata data update dot builder, and we can choose now what do we put in our save state. You saw it earlier. We can put multiple things. We can put meta. Well, we have to put this. We can put the description, playtime, and a PNG cover image. So if we head back here, let's have a look how we do that. We do dot with updated description, with updated playtime, or with updated PNG cover image. We don't have the with updated metadata because it's being pushed right here and it's something required. In our case, let's do with updated description. We only need the description, right? And that description is going to be, anything you want. I'll be saying something like saved at, and then let's put datetime dot now. Is that gonna work? Now dot toString. Okay, toString. So we have our builder now, but what we actually need to pass in as a second parameter is the save game metadata update. So we don't need that part here. But of course, if we remove that, that's not gonna work. There's like two options. Whether we want to remove this and call this update, make sure we do a .build at the end, that could work. Or you would just create it down here with something like that, so what that line of code could have worked as well. But I like to put everything into a single thing, so I transferred that to a normal update, and I just added the .build at the end, which then, once you do a .build, it returns to you the save game metadata update. I know this is complicated, that's a lot of words, that's a lot of very not interesting callback, but I hope you get the basic idea behind it. Okay, so we send it our metadata, we send it our update, our data we have to write to, and finally we have a callback which is not being activated just yet. So let's double click on it. And remember that this is after we did the commit. So that's the commit update, and after we do the commit update, we are here. That's a callback to know whether we're successful or not. So if you realize, this callback has some argument over here, and those arguments can be used whether, they can be used to check whether it worked or not. Okay, for right now, I'll just do debug.log. So debug.log, we're going to actually write down the status. Why not? So status like this, and that's going to let us know exactly what happens once you're done with the save. Okay, so we did the writing part. Writing part was kind of a pain. The loading part is really not that bad. All we really need to do over here is this. So play games platform, social.active, again we cast this, .save game, and instead of doing a commit update, we do a read binary data using that meta we get, and then sending it to a callback. So once it's actually done reading, because this is not synchronized, this is not asynchronized, you have to wait for it, just like a coroutine would, since this is online on the internet on their server. So right, you have to wait for that, and once they are done reading, they're going to be sending that information to your callback. We can call it save read. Let's take this, create a new property. That's the load, and that's the success save. For that save read, I changed the name here, so that's status, and over here is going to be our data. And I don't know if you saw what we saw here, but when we write to the save game, we create a byte array of data, just like this. This is exactly what we get back when we read. As you can tell, we get a byte array. That's the same exact data that you put here. So you're going to have to do the reverse of this operation right here. You take a normal string, you transfer it into a byte array by doing a encoding. You encode it, get bytes, that's fine. Now you have to do the other operation to decode it. So you encode, now you decode. To decode, fairly simple. It's exactly the same thing, but the other way around. So you can check whether it worked or not. That would be interesting. So if status, save game request status, success. So if it did work, you're gonna have a look at your save game. I'm gonna be putting it in a debug.log, of course. You don't want to be doing that with your real save game. Actually, you know what? Let's put it here. Save data. And this is the long-awaited call that I've been repeating for a little while. System text ASCII encoding ASCII, and guess what? Instead of doing a get byte, we do a get string. Get string. Amazing. So get string takes in the parameter a byte array, and get bytes take in a parameter of a string. So this is the only thing you have to do. Like I said, since I don't have anything to load right now, I'll just put that in debug.log. And that's your Google Play cloud saving. It was a real pain to make that work. Most of the time it's not that reliable, because sometimes you go offline, sometimes you don't. This is why I hopped in for a game that is only online. So now if your game requires progress to be tracked even when you're offline, then you'll have to deal with a lot of other things, such as conflict in between two devices. So if you sign in at two different places at the same time, and then you go offline, you play those, which one is the most prioritized? So which one has the right save? This is something you have to handle through your own logic. But that's our code over here. So we went through everything. Let's have a look again. We did the open. After that, we looked at the save. Saved, we created our metadata update builder. With the builder, we decided whether we wanted to update the description, playtime, or PNG cover image. We chose to do description, and by default, we had to put the meta in here. We then commit, and we get a nice callback when it's done. For the loading, just load, just read, and then do a get byte. Actually, this one was a get string, so I messed up. So that's a get string, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and implement that directly in my game, but first I'll need a save structure. Fairly simple to do. Since our Subway Skater game, we only want to be keeping track of the high score and also the amount of coins. Here is what I'll do at the very top. Private void save, actually get save string. That's going to return a string. And then private void load save string. Right, so in that string I'll say R for result, so string R result is equal to this, and all we have to do is R plus equal, what's our coin score? Actually, what's our high score? We're gonna start with the high score first. We'll put the high score here, so we get the high score in our case using player pref get int. So just like this, player pref get int. We have to do a toString on it, even though I think it would have done it on its own. So we do a toString, and then we'll do R plus equal, we add a pipe sign, so like this, then R plus equal the amount of coin we have. So coin score is not going to work simply because that's not something cumulative. It's being reset every time we start over the game. So I just realized I never really saved that anywhere, so that's my bad. Let's do a new field. Total coin, and we'll be saving total coins. So total coin toString. Right, so that's our save string. Return R at the end. What it's gonna do is just package these two together, put a pipe sign in between. So in the end, we're gonna have something like this. So assuming 100 is our high score and we have 84 coins, this is what we get. Simple save data, the most simplest save data you can find anywhere really. And then once we load that, we need to receive in parameter a string, so save. And all we have to do is say player pref set string, actually set int. Here we get the data, and down there we're going to set that data. So set int high score. I just realized that I typed that. I didn't type that properly, but it's a little bit too late. Set score, and we'll do save dot. I just realized also that we have to we have to read that as an int. Okay, sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself. Let's take that save here, and that save, you remember, this is the data inside of that save. We're going to create a string array, call it data. We'll say save.split, and we'll split on the pipe character. Now what this is going to do is give us an array of string that is going to look like this in memory. So 100 and then 84. It is going to get rid of the pipe and just split that into two different arrays. So what we'll do, we know that at the very first spot here we have the high score. We'll say data, actually we'll say int.parse data the index 0. This way we are actually taking this as a string, we parse it into an int, and we get the number 100. Same thing down here, total coin is equal to data at the index 1. We have to parse it first, of course. So int.parse data at the index 1. Do we have an update text? We probably have an update text somewhere, I just forgot about it. Where could it be? Once we do get a coin. Oh, there it is. Okay, so but that's for in-game. We don't have anything for the total amount of coin just yet, which is quite annoying, but I'll have to create that real quick. Okay, so little update. I've created a text field over here for my total amount of coin. I've also created a new entry in the game manager, and here it is. So total coin text is right here. What I'll do is I'll modify that once we do get a response from the Google Play Save. Now this is in my connected menu, so when we're not connected, I am not seeing this on the screen. So let me go back in the code, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to head down to our load save string, and once we're done, we're going to say total coin text.text is going to be equal to total coin. Right, now all we need is, total coin toString. All we need is to make sure that logic actually goes up every time, and every time we finish the game. So where is the def on def? So when we do die, this checks whether or not we have a high score with the amount of coin. We're going to say total coin plus equal, and we're going to say plus equal I totally forgot what it was. Oh, coin, or sorry, score. No, that doesn't work. Coin score, there we go. So plus equal coin score. And also what I'd like to do at this point is once we do a total coin, once we add this up, we are going to be opening the save. So we're going to do a save game. Basically open save in this case is going to mean save. So this is my save function. And if we head back, now that we have those values, now we do have those get save string and load save string, we're going to head back inside of our function and replace our stop data by some real data. So let's have a look. So is it when we open the save? It's not when we open it. It's when we have opened it. And here we do a get byte on random save. We're not going to be doing that anymore. We're going to say get save string instead, which is going to pack up our high score and also our amount of coin into a single string. That's perfect. Now, when we do read that string in the save read, we have to load it up. So we're going to say load save string, save data. If I haven't messed up anything, this is going to work perfectly fine. And the only thing left to do is really to test it out. I'm just going to go through it really quickly, see if I forgot anything, see if my logic is flawed, and I will come back to you really soon. Oh, and there is something flawed, I just realized. We do an open save when once we die, we do save the data, but we never really load it. We have to load it at the very beginning. So once we're connected and we get a successful response, so let's go on the on-connection response. That's basically my check whether I'm authenticated or not. And if I am, we unlock the achievement login. And if I am, I'm also going to be looking at opening the save. So open save with a false this time. and this is going to mean that we're loading the save. We could have wrapped this in another function called save and load, and just call this one depending on whether it is false or true. But I know I've made the code. Open save with false would mean I'm trying to load up my game. Right, so this part of the video is going to be all about testing. I'm going to hook up my device again and start up the recording software. Oh, I just made a mistake. Must not have the menu enabled at the beginning. And I am, like I said, I'm going to be hooking this up to my device, sending that, and I'll try to start a recording on there. Hopefully we can be in sync. Okay, so this doesn't work. Look at this. This says authorization failed, server return error, access not configured for the drive API. And this basically means that I forgot to turn on something. And if you guys remember, this is something we have to turn on right here in our game services. We forgot to turn on the saved game. And I think this is the reason why it crashed. So I'm going to hit save. We have to republish. I don't think we have to republish. I hope we don't have to republish. We might have to republish. Yep. Okay, so let's do a publish changes. Make sure we accept that, and hopefully we can get this running fairly quickly. Now, unfortunately, since we just did those changes, we might have to wait a couple of hours for this to be propagated on the device and on the game itself. So I'll actually go AFK for a little while until we're back with something we want, and this button right here, this button works, because right now, as you can tell, we do get some connection failure. Hey guys, we're currently the day after the initial recording. I have the game running on my phone right here. You should be able to see it on the screen, and I'm going to boot the game up. So we're going to see if our save game worked. I'm going to press on the login button, and at the very top right, this is our score. So I went ahead and already tested this out when I woke up this morning. We have 17 in score, and if we play the game and we do collect, actually that was not the score, that was the amount of coins. So technically right now we should have 18 and 19. So let's crash and see if that worked. Now there is a flaw in my logic at the top here that I don't really want to call the save game. This is something I could have done locally here. I don't have to call the save game again. But since we did call the save game, you can tell that right now we have 19 coins. And if you remember, while we made the game, this information right here, this information, the amount of coins we have, is stored nowhere on the device. So this is not a player pref, just like the score at the bottom. We know that the score is from player pref, it's saved on the machine, but the amount of coins is not. So the amount of the coins is really just on Google Play services. So that's pretty much all we needed to do. I'm gonna go ahead and actually fix this fact that we can start saving it locally once we have loaded once. So we only need to load from the Google Play save once per session, and I'm gonna go fix other bug like this one you just saw, and then get ready for a release. But next episode, guys, we are gonna be doing some Unity ads just before that, and then I'll do some polishing and actually send this your way. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Join us on the weekly challenge, the new challenge that we are launching Sunday this week. It's some simple stuff, so you're gonna make like a game mechanic, you can win some prize, make it look good, and just have some promotion around it, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Join us on Discord for more information. Check out the description links, and yeah, we love you. Exo. Cheers.